play where your star tight end can't haul it in. After they played such clean football, how do you explain what we saw over this 60 minutes?
It's hard to explain. I think conditions, pressure, all these things rolled into one, and so much of this game is your mental, your intestinal fortitude, your just mental approach, and just giving your all. Buffalo did that, so did Baltimore today. But these games, I said going into the game, when we first started the first drive, Baltimore had more of a margin for error. They had 3 turnovers and still had a 2-point conversion in a guy's hands to tie it with under 2 minutes to go in the game. And that's really difficult to fathom, that someone could have, lost the turnover margin by 3 against a team that's still alive right now and still have that. But, my heart hurts for Mark Andrews and for Lamar Jackson, as much as you're happy for the Bills, right? But it could have gone the other way. And each of these guys has had experienced such incredible losses and devastation in these moments. So, when you played the game, you know how tough that is. Either side, whoever lost, I would have felt that way. Because both these guys have played unbelievable this year and put their team in a chance, to make a run at a Super Bowl.
That same turnover margin that plagued them last year in the AFC title game against KC, once again here against Buffalo. I'm also looking at 273 yards of total offense, all that was required of Buffalo offensively. We talked after the win a week ago about the calm they presented themselves with. Did this seem like more of the same here? Just sort of check, 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 and then bet when you need to?
Yes, but this was more challenging. It's easy to stay calm when you think you're the better team. I think they had a chip on their shoulder this week. Everybody else saying, Baltimore's favored. They're going to impose their will on you. They're bigger, stronger, faster, all these things. And it's like, Buffalo's really good. And if you haven't been watching, they do a lot of things at a very high level. And the biggest thing, you look at it, they were plus 24 in turnover ratio coming into this on the season. And you sit there and you go, can that continue? Well, you put the elements, and the ball all of a sudden gets slicker, it's tougher, hits are a little bit more difficult, and it's hard to hang on to the ball. And today you saw the ball matter as much as anything, as much as any player, if not more. And we've always said turnovers are the most important thing, but catching the ball today might have been one of the biggest reasons why the Ravens lost.
And now we look forward to the AFC title game on CBS. Tony, I might have gotten out in front of myself here in my game prep. I find myself on a rabbit hole, 13 seconds, the immortal words of the man sitting with me. I don't have the direct quote, but something. They could get it down into field goal range here, Jim. And they did just that. We get to run it back between these two. What's going to be at the top of your call sheet for this one, Tony?
Well, I appreciate your remembering, because I always sit there and think as a quarterback, because you've been in so many situations, and in that moment I was like, you can actually do this if the other team is just barely off in this kind of scenario, and that's how you learn. And I talked about at the end today, when they were kicking the onside kick, I said, this one, I'm not sure if it's worse or not, but if they'd have got the onside, Baltimore, and won the game, that would have been equally as devastating to the fan base and the team. But I also think that preparation, sometimes you can only learn through experience. And I think Baltimore's going to learn a lot from the experience and the conditions, etc. But right now, we're going to find out if Buffalo has learned from their past experiences when they go to Kansas City and take on the champs who are sitting there waiting. I thought this week was going to be huge. I can't even imagine by next week. Oh, man, this is going to be fun.
Tony Romo, good luck sleeping this week, pal. We'll talk to you soon for one more.
Yeah. Thanks. See you guys next week.
All right, Tony Romo, also just an amazing addition all season long here on CBS Sports HQ as we take a look at the head-to-head. You know what they do in the regular season? That's all well and good. Postseason, Josh needs one. Josh is dying for one. And Josh gets another opportunity. The AFC title game at Arrowhead on CBS. Joy and heartbreak always right there alongside one another. We see both sides of it here. Bryant McFadden, Christian Fourier, fellas. That is gut-wrenching stuff from the POV of the Ravens and specifically Mark Andrews. And on the other side, jubilation for the Bills, who get a chance now to take down a team that they could not before in the past. Mac?
Yeah.
I just can't help but look away from this Ravens team and how different they looked from what they presented us all season long. Where'd you see the issues?
Uncharacteristic of the Baltimore Ravens. They did a great job in protecting the football the entire season, led to a very, very successful year. But when you look at this matchup, I mean, just what we saw in the first half, when you talk about the untimely interception by Lamar Jackson, the fumble by Lamar Jackson. In playoff football, these things cannot surface. And we saw some adjustments coming out of halftime, but then, of course, the untimely fumble again with Mark Andrews. And that last opportunity, with all that being said, Christian, Joe, they still had an opportunity to get right back in this ball game to force extra periods, right? You talked about the lack of urgency, right? Attention to detail played a part. And this is the one common theme in playoff football from what we've watched in the divisional matchups, going back to yesterday and going back today. The losing teams did not keep the football clean. We saw that with the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders. We saw that earlier today with the Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. And once again, it played a major factor in what happened in tonight's matchup between the Ravens and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, you said it. With all that being said, the Ravens were still in a position to win it. Called the perfect play. Andrews was open, and he's probably one of your most reliable receivers for the past, 6 to 7 years. And here he is having a really rough day, is responsible for a turnover that led to points. And then he has an opportunity to make up for that earlier fumble, and he just can't quite squeeze it hard enough to secure the catch. And that's the game right there. That's it. You hate to sit there and go, well, but Lamar did this and this guy did that, and Derrick Henry wasn't running the football. No, it doesn't matter. In the end, that was the game right there. You had an opportunity to tie it, and you just couldn't close it out.
Reminiscent of a year ago in that AFC title game where they had 3 turnovers, Kansas City had none, and they find their season coming to a close there. This did not require the best of the Buffalo Bills. Not to say they didn't get the job done. They obviously do in this moment, but I'm looking at 270-some total yards from that offense. They really kept control of this game in most moments, Mac. When you look at what Buffalo did best today, what is that?
Well, they made routine plays happen routinely. I mean, watching the Buffalo Bills, watching Josh Allen, we've come accustomed to seeing entertaining games, right? But watching them today was like watching a Lifetime show. It was a bit boring, but it got to the point and you walked away learning something with them, right? And this tells a lot about Buffalo. They can win ball games in an ugly fashion without the high-flying entertainment from the quarterback, without the back and forth in terms of scoring points. Their defense put them in very, very good positions to score, and they did so. And lastly, for me, you talked about what Baltimore did not do. I mean, the Bills, they did the opposite. They protected Wilson. They made sure they did not allow turnovers to be a vocal point for what they wanted to do on the offensive end. So, yes, when you look at what we've seen from Josh Allen, putting up MVP-like numbers today, he didn't give you that. But what he did was, which was overly important, Christian, he made routine plays happen routinely, and he protected the football.
So what you're saying, D-Mac, is he was a game manager.
Yeah.
We usually rip people for being a game manager. A game manager means you're terrible and you have no skill. He only threw for 127 yards, 20 yards rushing. He was just real clean and efficient, and every opportunity that the Ravens gave them, he made them